What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and today I am here with the one and only Matt Mckeever, and he is the best of the best when it comes to wholesaling. And I'll be honest, I love using wholesalers, but I know very little about running a good quality wholesaling business. And so in this video, we're going to talk about everything that you need to know to be the best wholesaler ever. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Matt, how are you?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Good. Well, first off, before we jump into it, I've got to say you are the best of the best. I love your YouTube channel. I love everything you're putting out. And one of the biggest things or impacts you had on me and my team this year is creating a team environment for the real estate side of things. And so in honor of you, we got to make sure we get this on here.
Dude.
And I got to thank you for sending me all that gear. You guys are always just the next level with everything you do. So thanks so much for coming on.
That's awesome, man. Appreciate it. I didn't even realize you had the hat. That's sweet.
You didn't even know your team sent it out to me, so I figured I'd surprise you with it. But
I love it. Yeah.
I guess first off, what if someone is looking to get into wholesaling, what would you tell them they need to know to be able to jump into it?
Yeah. So I think wholesaling, there's really two approaches to it. So far too often I see people trying to overcomplicate it and figure out the entire process in one sitting, right? Like they don't want to even think about getting into wholesaling until they know every single aspect of it. And to me, wholesaling is an interesting strategy for real estate investors because I think the absolute best wholesalers are really good at almost every aspect of real estate investing because they're very creative. They understand a lot of different strategies. So when they look at a property, they can see multiple different exits at once and understand which one might be most attractive. So they know how to negotiate that deal. And that can be intimidating for someone that's brand new to real estate to think that like, ooh, the best wholesalers are going to be great at everything to do with real estate. But what's also fantastic is it just starts off by building relationships. And so anyone that's like followed any of your sales related content will easily be capable of building up a relationship, building rapport. And so for me, the number one is just like work ethic, just being willing to commit and put in the effort. And the biggest reason I think people struggle to actually make that commitment and put in the work is they're not specific on what their goals are. So people are like, I want to get rich with wholesaling. And it's like, cool, man, but we need to actually get a little bit more specific because you're not going to put in the work necessary for such a broad-based goal. Huge believer in like SMART goals and just trying to get really dialed in. So once you set that goal of, I want to make $10,000 in the next 3 months by doing my first wholesale deal, well, that's a goal that we can really get behind and start mapping out and reverse engineering the plan. But I think like step one is just literally starting to talk to people, getting comfortable talking to people, building relationships, and just becoming an active listener.
So Matt, when it comes to like different niches, should you narrow in on real estate investing or new builds or like where should you start if you're just getting into it?
Yeah, great question. If you're brand new to real estate investing, I think the best niche to focus on is a niche that has high sales volume activity, right? So we're looking at, how many transactions are occurring. In my market here in London, Ontario, Canada, the average transaction probably for a starter home is going to be around $350,000. So when we're looking at starter homes, those are really the entry level point. That's kind of the floor in regards to the real estate market. So if you're going to be close to the floor, there's just a lot more volume in transactions and a lot more opportunities for different exit strategies if things go wrong. Whereas if I was to focus on, say, like the $1.5 million property niche here in my market, there's maybe like 10 or 12 transactions a year that are going to occur at that price range. If I'm trying to do even one deal in that niche, all of a sudden I'm representing like 10% of the transactions going on. That inherently is a harder niche to break into than the high sales volume part. So focus on starter homes. And what's great is if you start wholesaling starter homes, and some of those maybe don't go according to plan and you end up either having to close on it yourself or look for an alternative exit strategy, a starter home usually is going to be a better option in regards to a rental or a rent to own exit strategy or any of the other options available to us. Where that $1.5 million home, you're really just counting on the greater fool strategy. You just need someone else willing to come in to overpay and pay you more for that property.
Totally. No, that makes sense. Now, one question I wanted to ask you. I know that there are a lot of successful wholesalers. I know that there are also a lot of wholesale haters out there that are saying there's no way they're making this kind of money. Maybe they're using dishonest tactics. Like, what do you say to those people about the way you train people to do wholesaling, and what is realistic? I mean, if you're really good, what can they really make that you could say, dude, this can happen?
Yeah, great question. So I want to address the first question first. So the idea that wholesaling must be a scam or you must be taking advantage of old ladies, it's a very reoccurring theme. And the first thing I'd like to identify is all wholesalers are humans. And based upon my experience with humans, there's good actors and bad actors. And I don't think that wholesaling naturally attracts more bad actors than any other industry. So I'd be shocked to learn that there's more bad actors in wholesaling than there is in realtors or lawyers or accountants or whatever demographic you want to look at.
I love that. And I will back you up and say it's the same for door-to-door salesmen.
So there are definitely bad actors in that space. And I'm aware of some in my market. I'm sure you're aware of some in your market. But that being said, it's really a personal decision how you act. Do you have a personal ethic, moral code, right? Are you acting with integrity? And for us, it's really about just providing options. And so when I submit an offer, I'm just giving someone an option they didn't have yesterday. And to me, there's nothing wrong with giving someone an option. Now, if I frame that option in the way where it's like, this is your only chance and no one else will ever buy this house, it's a piece of shit. Yeah, then I think that you're starting to go down the path of a bad actor. But for us, we're literally just trying to understand the seller's situation and also understand that we're not dealing with the person that's got a perfect property. The person with a perfect property is almost always better served to sell on the MLS, assuming that they don't have to sell yesterday. But for us, we're dealing with hoarders, people that maybe where money's no longer the primary motivation. So a recent one was a young couple got a massive inheritance. All they wanted to do was sell their old piece of shit house and move into their brand new McMansion. And so for them, it was just about speed and just easiness. I just want to know that my house is going to magically disappear and I don't have to worry about any of the existing problems. A lot of the properties we buy, tarps and rough shape and all those different factors. So again, wholesaling is just another option for sellers. And there's times that we come into a deal and we've heard from an existing seller that, oh, I've had 3 realtors come through and they told me my house wasn't sellable until I did this laundry list of fixes. And what that realtor or those realtors meant was your house isn't going to sell for top dollar until you do all this work. But a lot of homeowners, they are not interested in taking on those challenges. They've got other priorities or other factors they want to take into consideration. As well, on the flip side, for whatever reason, humans have a natural overreaction, I think, to real estate. Because it's our shelter, because it's our home, we naturally have a much more emotional connection to it. And so, someone making money because of information asymmetry, it seems like often it's only when real estate's involved that people get upset. My lawyer knows a lot more about law than I do. So I pay them a premium for their time because they're experts at law. And I like to view wholesalers the same way. A really good wholesaler is going to look at that single family bungalow and know that, oh, in this neighborhood, that can be duplex. And duplex goes for this. And, the renovations are going to be roughly that. And all of a sudden now what you're actually doing is bringing a very select skill set and knowledge base to the situation where that knowledge is really the value add. It's not necessarily the property, because that property in someone else's hands may not be brought up to its highest best use. And that's really what I see wholesalers as, is just, identifying opportunities and then either selling them to another investor or sometimes taking on the project themselves, but ensuring that that property gets to its highest best use.
I love that. Well, and it's that way with everything. I mean, fast food, any kind of business, whatever it is, you're going to them for the convenience because they have the knowledge. And yeah, if you put a ton of time in reading, researching, whatever, you could do anything for cheaper, but that doesn't make sense. And so I think the next question, I know a lot of times people are kind of torn of should I go the realtor route? Should I focus in on wholesaling? Maybe explain the difference and why you push people more towards wholesaling compared to, being part of a brokerage and getting the realtor's license and everything else.
Yeah, so it is a very common question I get. Should I become a wholesaler? Should I become a realtor? Can I do both? The first thing to understand is each jurisdiction is going to have its own rules and regulations. Most jurisdictions, realtors have to act by a certain set of principles, codes, and in addition to that, they also have a lot of disclosures they have to make. Where a wholesaler is just an independent business owner, that isn't necessarily going to have to make the same disclosures. There's also a certain bias I find when realtors are looking to buy properties privately. People are like, oh, you're a realtor, you must be planning to take advantage of me if you're going to buy my house privately. Where with a wholesaler who's just an investor, they naturally, they're more comfortable with an investor making money off their property than they are a realtor. Now, that may literally just be a psychology thing, but certainly something I find time and time again when we're talking about just our business model versus realtors trying to do it. In addition, for a wholesaler, I think you're actually going to, if you go down the route of wholesaling, you're going to become a lot more of an expert in regards to real estate investing. Whereas a realtor, you may get distracted and pulled in a lot of different directions. You may find that new builds or condo buildings are a lot easier to transact in than real estate, and so be drawn to that. And so if you get into becoming a realtor to learn about investing, it's really important that you set and carve out the niche of I only work with investors. Otherwise, oftentimes you're going to get drawn to maybe the easier money, which is selling new builds. And while that may be easier money, you're not necessarily going to develop a skill set in tandem with, becoming a realtor. So that's kind of like the thought process I would use in regards to which way to go. Now, both you can be financially successful with either one. So I just realized I missed your second question you asked earlier about what can someone actually make in regards to becoming a wholesaler. So my buddy Jeff Weibel, a realtor, in his first year, he was able to do $100,000 as a realtor. His second year, $200,000. I'd say for any committed wholesaler, that's a very realistic expectation as well. I right now have a team of 4 full-time wholesalers and then 1 manager for my wholesale team. So 5 full-time employees just in that business. And, we took all them on quite recently, in fact. So my most experienced wholesaler is Mike Nowicki. He's been doing this for 8 months now, and he's done $160,000 in gross revenue in regards to his wholesale fees. Now, he's done a partnership with me in order to get mentorship, so he's not keeping every dollar of those sales. But had he went out on his own and just really committed and stayed consistent with his activity, he easily could have done that completely by himself. Now, I find the biggest struggle, and I'm sure you've seen this with your sales reps as well, is wholesaling, you eat what you kill. And so a lot of people aren't comfortable going 30, 60 days without knowing that they made money. I think people underestimate how addictive a job is. Literally every week or every 2 weeks, you get that trickle of money and you can count on it. It's just consistent. You can set your watch to it. Where wholesaling, it's boom and bust. It really is up to you to take control of your situation. But so many people start playing mental games around the 30-day mark if they haven't already got a deal. But 30 days isn't very long to really be committing to your education and your future career if you're going to be taking wholesaling seriously.
Totally. No, and I see that with so many of my reps. I mean, I had a kid last year that made $160,000 in 4 months. Just absolutely slayed it. And yet he was going through to become a CPA. And after working with me for 4 years, he decided to take a job as a CPA making 60-something thousand a year. And I'm just like, dude, now you have to work every day the entire year. And you're making not even half what you were making when you were working 3.5, 4 months with us. And I think for a lot of people, they get hooked on that consistency, even if it's substantially less money. And I think if you can get out of that space, I mean, I wish more people understood there are dozens of ways to make killer money if you're willing to be in a place where, like you said, you eat what you kill. And a lot of people are like, I don't know, I just want to, cut up the leg of the killed whatever for minimal pay. And that to me doesn't make sense. And so I love that.
And then building upon that just a little bit more, whether being a sales rep that's on commission based purely, or a wholesaler, or even going down the route of becoming a realtor, it's also much more entrepreneurial, right? So it's kind of like a baby business in my opinion. And what's great is it's more than just going out there and making lots of money. You're also getting into a mindset now of I'm in control. It's up to me. I don't take orders from someone else and my welfare or my well-being is up to them. You literally start to have that stronger and stronger internal locus of control where you're like, you know what, if I want to go make more money, I just need to work harder. I just need to work smarter. And that's such a powerful mindset that will last a lifetime. And same with the sales skill set, right? Like any business has a marketing and sales aspect to it. And I think that most humans need to get better at selling themselves.
Totally. Well, and I just think everyone, and obviously there are lots of people that don't think this way and they never will think this way, but not only be in a job where you can scale and make tons of money, but be in a job where you can scale what you've scaled. Do you know what I mean? Like where there's another level. I mean, you started as a wholesaler and you've gotten into a place where you're now buying 100-unit complexes. You're owning mass real estate. You're starting teams. I love it because there's no cap. It's not like, hey, if you're a good salesman, you cap out at $200,000. I mean, this is something that can transition into so much more where you don't have that in a lot of other jobs. And so pick a job where there is no limit. I mean, even at $5 million, you're saying, hey, I haven't reached where this could reach if I wanted it to reach higher. And I just don't know why people can't make that transition, but that's what comes with that little bit of risk of potentially not making something for 30 days. And you've got to be willing to make that jump.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Sweet. Well, one more question for you, and then we can kind of wrap things up. But if you have someone right now that watches this video and they say, all right, I've decided I want to be a wholesaler. Like that's the direction I want to go. What should they do? Should they go and join up with somebody? Should they try and do it on their own? Should they go and purchase a course? Like what would your advice be to them of these are the next 3 steps you need to make to get you to $100,000 this year?
Yeah, great question. I think that's usually the burning question when people discover wholesaling. It's just like, how can I get to 6 figures as fast as possible? The fastest way there isn't going to be going completely by yourself. The School of Hard Knocks to me sometimes is the most expensive school because it costs you a lot of time potentially. But even more so for most people, until they see someone else successfully executing on something, until you have a Roger Bannister that goes out and proves to you the 4-minute mile is possible, you're never even going to attempt it because you're going to be like, man, is it humanly possible to run a 4-minute mile? I don't know. So like, why would I try and do something that's impossible? Find someone that's successfully wholesaling. You can find them as just like an internet guru, right? Like you can just watch someone's free YouTube videos, but like find some sort of connection. Personally, I think that you're going to be best served becoming a bird dog for an existing wholesaler. So a bird dog is someone that finds initial leads and opportunities. They make a lot less than a wholesaler. But what you're going to do is you're first going to learn just how to get good at finding leads and finding opportunities. I think the hardest part for a lot of new wholesalers, again, is they try and learn the entire process right off the bat. So they're trying to learn not just how to get good at sales, how to get good at lead generation, how to negotiate, how to write and do the paperwork, how the assignment paperwork goes, how to sell a property. That's very intimidating. So step one, I'd say, is get good at lead generation. Team up if you can with a local wholesaler. Also study your competition, right? Every wholesaler has free email lists. Why not sign up and see how they're sending out their marketing material? Again, I think way too often we overcomplicate a lot of this and think that we've got to reinvent the wheel. I would really look who's currently crushing it in your market. If no one's crushing it in your market, then who's crushing it in the closest market to you that you're looking to invest in? And, great artists steal. So don't be afraid to, if you notice that, like, heck, if you've been staying at home and for the last year, every single month, you've been getting a We Buy Houses flyer, either that guy is crazy or he's making money, right? Like, presumably, if he's been doing it for a year straight, he's making money in your market. So that's immediately a sign and an opportunity. I would call that flyer and be like, hey, I'm interested in doing this. Are you guys currently hiring? Are you looking for bird dogs? And just put yourself out there.
I love that. It's great advice. Well, Matt, I would love to ask you tons of questions. Maybe we'll have to do another show sooner because there's so many questions I have about how you find your leads, how you go into all of that stuff. So we need to do another one soon. But Matt, well, thank you so much. That is the best advice, incredible stuff. And we've got to do a video in the future to go even deeper. But if you enjoyed the video, please push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you go and subscribe to Matt Mckeever's channel if you haven't already. Matt, is there anywhere else you want people to go and check you out?
I'm everywhere on social. So whatever your favorite platform is, just follow along and let's connect.
Even TikTok, huh?
We're on TikTok. We're doing daily TikToks now. We had one pop and get 25,000 views. So
let's go. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much. Go follow Matt, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, guys.